What's up, guys? This is Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I wanted to break down what's happening with NIO, Tesla, SPY, and the overall markets. I'm going to break down some new details that are coming out involving the charts and what you should be watching for as time goes on. Not to mention some big developments from Donald Trump's tariffs that did cause the market to bounce a bit. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed at 30 in total, not to mention 8.1% APY in uninvested cash. The offer ends at the end of March. Anyways, as far as NIO is going, we're continuing to try to make a higher low right over here, which is a good sign. And the 4-hour is looking a bit more bullish. If we could try to get a bounce right here, that would be a much better sign. So we want to see if we could break past 4.44. If that breaks, I think we could be attempting to fill some of these gaps at 4.63, also at 4.78. So there is potential for some upside if we continue to make higher lows, and overall it's looking quite decent. The overall market is also trying to bounce, but I want to see us break one more resistance just for confirmation, and then we're looking quite bullish just for a nice temporary bounce. Now, I'm not saying the market's going to bounce forever, just a temporary move up. Let's break down exactly why that is. Now, as far as NIO is going, just know I'm not really seeing anything else that's too different. It is pumping with the whole market. The whole market bounced very nicely today, as we were talking about. As far as NIO is going, I just want to mention that NIO is welcoming their smart factory, the F2. This is important as it's going to help them design very advanced vehicles, and we're going to see some nice growth as time goes on. Keep in mind, guys, that I wasn't able to see anything else too crazy about NIO in terms of news. We're just waiting for earnings to come out in just a couple of weeks. Anyways, we did have some big news. So we had Lutnick, the U.S. Commerce Secretary, who was consistently saying that Trump is going to announce some release tariffs very soon. He kept saying that that actually happened to some extent. Donald Trump made a very, very big move today. So as you guys know, yesterday he imposed 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico, and then additional 10% tariffs on China. That caused the market to tank very hard. But then there was some more news that came out as Donald Trump agreed to delay the tariffs for 1 month on some vehicles built in North America after a call to CEOs of GM and Ford, not to mention the chair of Stellantis. That's some big news. The automakers urged Tesla to waive the 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada on vehicles that comply with the 2020 US-Mexico-Canada Agreement rules of origin. The move benefited these automakers, and as long as they're in compliance, they're going to have an advantage. Now, this is the quote from the White House press secretary. The White House has said that we are going to give a 1-month exemption to any autos coming through the USMCA, so they're not at a disadvantage. Then they mentioned that reciprocal tariffs will still go into effect on April 2nd, so please keep that in mind. Very, very big news. There are more tariffs that are scheduled, but for the time being, Donald Trump is kind of alleviating some sectors of these tariffs for automakers and such for a temporary period of time. The market's liking that, and he's still basically talking with Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, and many of these other very important political leaders. So he's still talking with them. We'll see what this leads to as time goes on. They are discussing a lot of issues between the countries that go on, and Donald Trump obviously has a lot of demands to make. So we'll see if this ends up continuing to cause improvements or not, and what ends up happening basically. So there's still a lot of talk between the U.S. and Canada, so we'll see how it goes. So please keep that in mind. But for now, I didn't see any major progress that was made yet, so there could be a big announcement later on about this. So we'll give this the time it needs. I also want to add that for tomorrow, it's going to be Thursday, March 6, 2025. In the morning, 1 hour before the market opens, we have initial jobless claims coming out and some jobs numbers, which is kind of minor, nothing too crazy. Then we have some bill auctions, so just keep that in mind. But the really big data comes out on Friday as we have the unemployment rate, not to mention the big guy, Jerome Powell, giving a speech at 12:30 p.m. That may cause a lot of volatility on Friday. So for now, that's what we're seeing for the markets. A quiet day on Thursday. It's going to be the calm before the storm, and then things get very crazy on Friday. Right now, the fear and greed index is currently at extreme fear still. The market's trying to rebound as SPY and the S&P 500 below their 125 daily moving averages. Besides that, the put-to-call option ratio is at extreme fear, and right now there's still a lot of fear that's present within the markets. The last thing I want to add is this right here. In terms of earnings, there's not much coming out today, but tomorrow we have Costco announcing earnings, which is going to be pretty big for retail. Keep that in mind. Anyways, what's happening to the markets is we're seeing NIO attempting to make a higher low, which is a good sign, especially as the whole market is trying to rebound a bit as Donald Trump is alleviating some sectors of the tariffs. So I'm going to be looking for a pullback move like this to about the 4.28 or so area. And if we could break past 4.42, we're looking for a bounce and an attempt to fill this gap up here around this 4.6 area. And if we could break past that, we have another gap to fill around 4.7. So overall, there is potential for us to try to rebound and start filling some gaps. As long as we make a higher low, I think there's good potential in this. For SPY, one thing worth mentioning, I'm going to close these lines real quick. We're trying to rebound. We got a nice double bottom that formed around this 573 area. We had a slanted inverse head and shoulders on our 30 minutes time frame. We technically have one, but we need confirmation for a break. So I want to see SPY essentially break past 585. If we could break that, I think we could be pushing for 590 pretty quickly. If we can't break 585, we could be looking for a move back down. So there might be a move like that. We'll be watching to see a big fight right over here. We'll see if we get a pullback move first before it tries to break out later. I personally believe that with the inverse head and shoulders, we will eventually break past 585, but I'm not sure if it's going to happen immediately tomorrow. If it may take like a day or two to get there. So be very patient. We'll see if we can break 585. If we do, we're looking for a bigger move up. For the QQQ, it's the same setup. So we have a nice inverse head and shoulders here, left shoulder, head, and then a right shoulder. The full measured move would take us all the way up towards like the 508 plus areas and eventually 512. But we need to see this break resistance around 503. If we could break this on the QQQ, we're looking for an attempt for 506 and 508. We'll see if that breaks or not. So we'll give this some time to develop. On the Russell 2000, you have a left shoulder, a head, and then a right shoulder. If we break out higher and we continue to make higher lows, we're going to be looking for a dip and a bounce and an attempt to get back up towards the 210s. So as long as we don't lose support, there's going to be an attempt to rebound. For ES, we have an inverse head and shoulders as well. We'll see if we can break past 58.80. If that breaks, we're looking for a bigger pump for 59.20. If we lose support, it's not going to be a good move, so we'll give this the time it needs. But that's what I'm essentially seeing for the time being as we're trying to make higher lows. So keep that in mind. Overall, we're making a nice move so far. As long as we don't lose these lows, as long as we make another higher low here, we could continue to push. I want to see us break past 5900 or 58.75 at the very least to continue this pump. NQ has a similar setup, inverse head and shoulders. Might dip a little bit to retest 20,500. If we could bounce, we need to break past 20,700 to really continue, and we're looking pretty good. Bitcoin's looking more bullish, making higher highs and higher lows. This looks like it's going to be pushed to 92,000 plus. We also have an inverse head and shoulders on Nvda. So Nvda is looking pretty good with the inverse head and shoulders right here. If we break resistance around 120, we're looking for an attempt to get back up to 121. Tesla also has an inverse head and shoulders. So if we're trying to break past this, we're looking for a break of basically 281. If that breaks, we're looking for 290. So I see potential in this. Amazon, sorry, not Amazon, Apple is trying to rebound. If we could get back above 238, we're looking for a bounce. Overall, we're kind of stuck right now, so I'll give this some more time to develop. Not really doing much. Coin is looking bullish. We're trying to make higher highs and higher lows. Quite a good move. We want to break past 225 to really push higher for like 232. This has potential. Amazon also has an inverse head and shoulders. We'll see if we get a dip first before it tries to break out. If we break 210, we're looking for an attempt to get back up towards this high up here around 214. So there's potential for upside as the most likely possibility. Meta has an inverse head and shoulders. If we break past 660, we're looking for essentially 669. Microsoft is bullish. Nice breakout so far. We're at a tough resistance at 400. We'll see if we retest this 398 area before it tries to break out. Break 400, then we're looking for 402. And then Google also has an inverse head and shoulders here, so it could be looking for essentially 178. So there is potential in this. Give this the time it needs. Last but not least, we have the VIX, which is looking a little bit weaker. We're going to be looking to see if this rejects again. It depends. Can we break 22.7 to turn bullish, or do we lose 20.8 to turn bearish? We could be dipping, so we'll give this some time. I do want to mention that on the daily charts, the VIX is still starting to turn just a bit, but there's no sign yet that it's officially breaking structure. So we need more confirmation. For now, the market has upside potential. SPY looks like it wants to push more. So do the others. So we'll see how it goes over the next couple of days. And I think we're going to see NIO follow the trend and eventually return to fill some of its gaps. So if we see a dip and a bounce, look for a break of 4.44 to fill the gaps for 4.62, then 4.8. And I see potential nonetheless. With that being said, I thank you all so much for listening. Have a good rest of your day. I'll be back with another upload tomorrow. Until then, I appreciate you guys for your attentions, and I'll be back very, very soon. Thank you for listening, and peace out.